Hey guys, ColdBrew here, back with another Diablo Immortal video. Right, I'm the Barbarian. This is the final day I'm playing the Barbarian. I've decided to change my class, but before that, I'm actually showcasing the best PvE build that you can do for running with friends, running in dungeons, and I would say doing rifts and anything of that sort. It doesn't work for, I would say, anything other than group challenge rifts. It works better for normal rifts. For challenge rifts, you need, I think, more control rather than anything else. So let me just show you the skills, the legendaries that I have equipped, and why this works for barbarians before I go and change my class. So what is this build centered around? Build is centered around being a support and also doing damage with that through whirlwind. You can either do whirlwind or if you use charge. I think that whirlwind is the best one for this specific role, just because you spin and you gather player enemies around with this one. Whirlwind pulls in all enemies, it damages, so you have that, you gather up the enemies, your team beats them. It works at farming in the outer world, and it also works in rifts and dungeon situations. A very solid legendary to have, and that's the upgrade that I'm using. For the helmet, I'm using the upgrade for Demoralize, which now is replaced by a War Cry that increase all damage you and nearby allies inflict. That is a big boost to your allies' damage. It's not as great as the banner, of course, but it's still a very solid one to have. Then I do have the pants here, which makes the sprint now to also boost the speed of my allies. This helps everybody just run faster and get to where everybody's going faster. And then everything else is centered around making my build stronger and making myself stronger, with the Wrath of the Berserker being reduced cooldown by 15%. Wrath of the Berserker here boosting my critical hit chance instead of the attack speed. And then here the weapon, the main hand, boosting Lacerate, which inflicts a bleeding that deals 5.6k damage over 3 seconds. And of course the skills are all what I've mentioned. So Lacerate as the default primary attack skill. We've got Demoralize, which now gets boosted, as I said, by 25% boost to everybody's damage. Well, all your allies. You need to be close. You need to be mindful when you're doing that. You can't just have them on the other side of the map and do that. You have to be mindful. Same thing goes with sprint, as you are boosting their speed by 40%, which is insanely good. Wrath of the Berserker, very self-explanatory on how good this is. 50% boost to critical hit chance. The reduced cooldown there also is very good. And then of course we have got the Whirlwind, which reduces your own speed, but it's good because you run ahead, you gather them up, and then your allies can beat them. So might as well go into an Elder Rift just to show this in action. Let me just put one rare crest as well. We're gonna find a group and just show on how this this build works. It's a very solid build. It's what you're looking for, I think, as a Barbarian, at least at this point of the game. The video is September 2022, so in the future maybe something better comes up, but for now I think this one's the better one for just overall grouping up. So what I'm doing here is speed boosting everybody, boosting their damage, popping up the Berserker, and then Whirlwind. Look at that, look at how good this is to get everyone together. Of course, in an Elder Rift you are beating everything very quickly. You're trying to go and gather them up. As I'm damaging them, they're getting pulled together a little bit. It's not that visible. It's not like the Condemned by the Crusader. So have that in mind. It's not as strong as the Condemned by the Crusader. So boosting everybody, at least the fastest ones. The ones that fall behind are gonna be losing out on the boost. Boosting their damage and then popping up Berserker just to do that extra bit of damage. Look at all those crits that I'm doing. And basically in Elder Rift, what you're looking for is getting those elites, so that you can get to the boss as quickly as possible and finish the rift again as quickly as possible. So this run should ideally be, the best case scenario, be maybe 2 minutes in a good rift. In a very good rift, it's like 1:30. What I don't like about, you know, Whirlwind is like it loses the channeling so fast. So you might want to go with maybe Trickshot Gem to be equipped, so it helps with channeling, although you lose so much of your resonance through that many players just opt for not using it. So the energy orbs are so good for this build because you can now refresh both the sprint and the Demoralize, and that basically boosts your damage for even longer. Have that in mind. And we're almost gonna be popping the boss now. Let's see. All right, basically here the boss will pop up. Don't think we're even gonna manage to kill these enemies. Okay, so what I'm waiting now is to see where the boss is, get everybody close as possible to me, boost their damage. Look at that. The sprint also has that kind of radius right there, and we use whirlwind same way, just to do more damage. But honestly, the primary attacks also do great damage because of that lacerate boost. And you see the big crits popping up. It all depends on your resonance, the amount of strength that you have, your gear, your CR. Although in Elder Rift, CR doesn't really matter, CR does matter when you're in the outer world, and especially if you're 1000 CR above the limit of the hell stage that you're trying to beat, the hell difficulty that you're trying to beat. So if you're in hell 4 and you are at a 4.2k and higher CR, then that's when you actually get that 20% extra boost in your damage. So a very good way to show this also for the outer world. As an example, we'll go to the realm of damnation. That's where I love to go and farm with a group. That's pretty much where I farm most of my levels so far. So with the barbarian, again, you're trying to boost everyone's speed. Everyone needs to keep up with everyone else in a very solid group for farming in the outer world, because you don't want to lose out on the buffs from, let's say, the crusader, the buffs from, let's say, the monk. Everybody's trying to buff each other up to make the runs as fast as possible. Our group of farmers usually does this in hell 5, but I'm in hell 4 right now. Since hell 5, I'm not quite there yet in CR. But what I would do is just run up, buff everyone, and trying to find the next group of enemies, group it up like this. Don't even use the full charge of my whirlwind. If an energy orb drops, then group them up like here, let everyone else kill them, group them up just in case anyone runs, run to the next one, group it up, then the group will kill it, and that's how it goes. You don't kill the whole group by yourself. And we even found a group of others right here just for this showcase that is actually really solid. They need to group up if they want to do this as efficiently as possible. Right now it's not efficient because everyone seems to be split around. So you don't stay around to kill them, and it's very similar to how every class should be farming in the outer world. You need to be just tagging along, doing about 20-30% of the damage, and then letting the others do the remaining, especially if you are the runner, the one that collects every one of the enemies together. You want to have that in mind, that your goal is not to kill the enemies. Your goal is just to group them up, buff up, and then go to the next pack. Be mindful also of any shrines that might pop up. You want to be using up the shrines to make your group stronger. And just as an example, yeah, like what I do is I usually run up here. Usually there's a shrine right here. I pop that so I can potentially get a pool of experience as well, and that benefits the whole group because it has a big range of buffing up the group. So that's the barbarian build. That's the best build that you can do, honestly, in terms of overall support. You're helping your team. You're not there to do the insane amounts of damage. It all depends, of course, on your gear, but it's more about buffing everyone up with the right skills, buffing yourself with Berserker's Rage, and using a combination of your primary attacks for Lacerate and Whirlwind to stack up the enemies. So that was the video, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. I'll be changing my class today to something else. You'll see that in the next video. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.